Hello Internet, God is love, and I'm Nigel Winters, bringing you interesting news in TV, video games, and movies from last week. Let's do this. I apologize for not being on last week and having to skip a week. I wasn't feeling well, and no, that is not code for I was playing Fallout 4. I wasn't feeling well. Mea culpa. But speaking of Fallout 4, if you're one of the few people on the planet Earth who has not yet played Fallout 4, then let me just give you some pieces of guiding advice. Ars Technica did a review of the game on a bunch of different platforms, PC, PS4, and Xbox One. It turns out that even on a modest PC gaming rig, and for them a modest PC gaming rig was a 4th gen Core i3, 6 gigabytes of RAM, and a GTX 750 Ti, was able to play the game on high with only a few graphics modifications and maintained roughly a consistent frame rate at 40 frames per second with very minimal screen tearing. The PS4 came in next best. I believe it was an average of about generally around a 30 frame per second. In the main city of the game, you do get a couple of frame rate drops which will cause a screen tear, but they are generally very minimal, and having played the game on the PS4, I can tell you that it's a perfectly fine experience. The Xbox does a bit worse in these areas. However, surprisingly, in fights which involve a lot of graphic additions like sparks and explosions and such, the Xbox actually does slightly better than the PS4 in these instances, which hint at Bethesda already starting to work on optimizing the engine for the Xbox One before they move on to either the PC or PS4. I'm sure that in like half a year, numerous bug fixes will have occurred and the engines will be greatly improved on both devices. To me, the weirdest part was the install time on the PS4. I'm not used to games installing on my consoles. The Wii U, you insert the disc and it goes. It was a long time. It was like a good 30 minutes to install the game on my PS4. What's going on there? So Xbox One owners, in the latest update, you probably noticed that you are able to now play old 360 games on your Xbox One. There's about 100-ish titles that are compatible, and all you have to do is take your disc, put it in the Xbox One, download the emulator, and boom, off to the races for you. You bought the game digitally on your Xbox 360, your account in the Xbox One store will have that game if it's on the list already there. You just download it, and again, off to the races playing your game. What's even cooler about this is that because it is an Xbox One application, you can stream your Xbox 360 games from your Xbox One to a Windows 10 PC. That's awesome. One noticeable exception, however, is Bethesda games. Fallout 3 is on the list, but all other Bethesda games, including Skyrim, are gone. That's just a little weird, in my opinion. So, Nintendo had a Direct last week. If you would like to know my opinions on the Direct, click the bananas. Click them. I'm just going to wait here until you click them. Have you clicked them yet? Go watch the video. Go watch it. Have a banana. Would you like a banana? Do you like bananas? Because there are plenty of bananas on the moon. There's a new indie horror game coming out. Oh no, a new indie horror game. It's not like we have a million of those already. But that's why I'm hearing you saying, but hold on. Called Song of Horror. It looks really cool and fascinating. It's going to be released on every platform. PC, Mac, Linux, PS4, Xbox One. No Nintendo though. Little sad. But the game has a very interesting mechanic of you can listen through a door to what's on the other side. If you don't do that, you're often probably going to die. On multiple playthroughs of the same area, if you were scared in one area and safe in the other, that other area is probably going to be scary now, and that one area is going to be safe. Or not, maybe it will be the same. You don't know, just adding to tons of suspense. The game is very story-driven, as most horror games are. 16 playable characters, and you might be thinking, that's way too many playable characters, each with their own strengths and weaknesses that I have to decide at the beginning of every chapter which one I'm going to be using. But hold your horses. First character permadeath. This game just got a lot harder. I'm looking forward to it. Hey Wolverine fans! Wolverine is back, except it's not Logan, it's X-23. X-23 has had her own series before, but now she's taking up the mantle of the Wolverine since Logan's death. Apparently the series is very good, filled with tons of cute moments between her and Angel, and also her just kicking butt. This sounds like it's your thing. go at it. Fun fact, though, apparently the Downton Abbey showrunners told the producers to downplay the Christian elements of Downton Abbey. At the turn of the century and early 20th century, aristocrats in the UK would be very, very religious. You don't see a lot of that in the show because the showrunners were worried about offending an increasingly atheistic England. This is all coming from their chief historical advisor who makes sure that everything is done properly. It even went so far as certain napkin foldings were not allowed because the showrunners were afraid that the napkin foldings looked too much like the bishop's mitre. It's also the reason why you never really see the beginning and endings of meals. You always see the middle of meals. They're already sitting down and eating when we cut to those scenes, generally. This is because this allows the showrunners to avoid the beginning and after meal grace. Personally, I think it's just absolutely ridiculous that England is so increasingly atheistic that they're afraid of offending people by trying to accurately represent history. I know Downton Abbey is not the most historically accurate. It romanticizes a lot of things, I know. But it's weird that they're just trying to make such good feelings and rose-tinted glasses of the past that they're going to overlook something that was very important of the past. They overlook a lot of things that are important in the past, I know, but I just find that this is something that they're going significantly out of their way to avoid. Also a little ironic because UK politicians constantly refer to the UK as a Christian nation. Number one export of the Western society is hypocrisy. So with the onslaught of the retro craze, it's no surprise that UK retailer Argos has reported that in the pre-Christmas up for toys and other gifts and such, the Sega Mega Drive, or Genesis in the United States, has increased sales 400%. This re-release of the classic Genesis console comes with two wireless controllers, and they're the expanded controllers, so they have 6 buttons and a D-pad, not just the 3 buttons and a D-pad. It comes with 2 normal controller ports for any of your old controllers that you still have, and it also comes with 80 pre-built-in games. You can still take your cartridge and put them in the cartridge slots and play the games that way, but they also have 80 built-in games, including Sonic and Mortal Kombat. The device is only about $80 US, so, you know, this sounds cool for you, and you have a lot of Sega Genesis games, but you don't have a Sega Genesis anymore, and you want to get a Sega Genesis, or you want to, you know, just play Sega Genesis games because it's the greatest game console that ever existed on the face of the earth, go ahead and get it. Oh, and Valkyria Chronicles is being released in PS4 on February of next year. You know. Something interesting news from last week and the week before in terms of TV, video games, and movies. I know there was a lot of video game stuff. There generally is a lot of video game stuff because I like video games. If you guys would prefer me to do more comic book stuff or more TV stuff or more movie stuff, let me know in the comments below. What was the most interesting thing that you heard about last week or the week before? Like, I will see you all next week. Quadrages.